Greetings, everyone. Dr. Jack Wolfson. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I apologize. Happy early New Year to everyone. Again, Dr. Jack Wolfson, cardiologist. I hope I'm coming in loud and clear to you everywhere, anywhere. I appreciate you being here on New Year's Eve. It's just another day, people. It's really just another day. Let's focus on health and wellness every day, going forward. I don't know what else to really say about that. Chat box is open. Jump in. Get ready to ask questions. Today, we're talking all about inflammation. I got my team here. We're talking about inflammation, and I'm going to talk a lot about that. Share this information. You just may change someone's life. Like the information. Interact with us on social media, inside of our Facebook group. At Natural Heart Doctor, we've got the 100-Year Heart Community. We've got a Facebook page. We got Instagram. I'm also on X, and I am on Twitter. And where else? TikTok. Yes, there you go. So again, welcome everyone. I want to talk about inflammation because inflammation is very, very important. All medical doctors know that inflammation is bad, but the only thing they can do about it is prescribe pharmaceuticals. Obviously, I work differently at Natural Heart Doctor myself, and all the other doctors and practitioners and coaches here at Natural Heart Doctor work differently. So again, welcome everyone. We are about to enter into a new year, and let's just use this as an opportunity to say, what are we going to do better in 2026? One thing we want to do is lower inflammation. Now, you've heard me say this before many times, and I want to say a couple things here. Ready? Number one, all disease, all sickness, all health concerns are from two things: too much bad stuff, not enough good stuff. So we get more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. We flip that script. So if you're sick, if you've got health concerns, family concerns, too much bad stuff, not enough good stuff. It has nothing to do with genetics. It has nothing to do with bad luck. It has nothing to do with the fact you're getting older. It has everything to do with getting more good stuff, less bad stuff. What's the good stuff? Sleep, sunshine, movement, happiness, gratitude, spirituality, amazing food, wild seafood, sardines, wild salmon, mackerel, anchovies, clams, oysters, shrimp, lobster, crab, wild salmon roe, R-O-E, wild salmon roe, eating regeneratively raised animal products, preferably bison, organ capsules, avocados, coconuts, olives, eggs, raw dairy, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, organic coffee like cardiology coffee. There you go. All right. So more good stuff, less bad stuff. What's the bad stuff? Bad food, bad lifestyle, bad toxins, bad thoughts, bad relationships. All right. Now, that's all the root cause. The root cause are all of the bad things. And then up top on the tree, we've got the disease. And in the middle, we have markers, metrics. And one of those metrics is inflammation. Others are oxidative stress. Others are lipids. Others are homocysteine. Others are omega-3 fatty acid levels. Others are measurements of our toxin exposure. So inflammation is one of those things. Now, inflammation is important. Why? Because if I was out walking in the wilderness and I got injured, my immune system and inflammatory system has to kick in to help me heal. If I were sick from a bacteria, a parasite, a virus, anything, my inflammatory system kicks in to help me heal. And then it quiets down again. The problem is chronic inflammation. The problem is the chronic inflammation. And when we have a lot of inflammation, it's linked to heart attack, stroke, cancer, dementia, and death. But there's no Band-Aid for inflammation. There's no pharmaceutical and there's no supplement. I'm not here, people, to sell you curcumin for inflammation. I'm not here to sell you arnica gel for inflammation. I'm here to talk to you about root cause methodology to lower inflammation, lower your risk of heart attack, stroke, and dying. And because it's not about how do we lower inflammation. It's not even about how do we lower our risk of heart attack, stroke, and dying. We all want to live our best life. That's what the ultimate goal is. I'm 55 years old. I want to have quality time with my family and my friends, and I want to be able to continue to teach the world about heart health and wellness. That is my ultimate goal. So I want to spend quality time with my family, reading, hiking, mountain biking, traveling, surfing, watching a movie. I want to spend more time with my friends doing those things. I want to spend more time on social media and creating emails and creating master classes and courses and evidence-based supplements in order to help change the world, to make the world a healthier, happier place. And if I have a heart attack or if I have a stroke, I'm not likely to be able to do that. And if I have inflammation that leads to a heart attack or stroke, it inhibits my ability to do the stuff that I was created to do. Right? Does that make sense to everybody? Jump into the comments, say hello. Again, my team is here monitoring. We're here to help you at the very last day of 2025 and then into 2026 and beyond. So how do we measure inflammation? Well, one thing, inflammation is pain. So for example, right now for the last few weeks, I'm struggling with pain and inflammation ultimately in my lateral epicondyle tendon and fascia, commonly known as tennis elbow. It's not from tennis. And it's not a local problem. There's something going on likely in the shoulder, in the neck, in the upper back, and I'm working on that. But my point of mentioning this is that pain is a sign of inflammation. Anywhere there's pain, there is inflammation. Because pain as a symptom is a sign that there's underlying inflammation. We can measure inflammation multiple different ways. The main, most common one that everybody talks about for the last 25 years is called CRP. CRP stands for C-reactive peptide or C-reactive protein. It's synonymous. And this is a protein manufactured by the liver and cells around the body when there is inflammation. And it is a signal to recruit more inflammatory cells, white blood cells, lymphocytes, leukocytes, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, etc., to fight the inflammation. So acute inflammation is good when we want to heal. Chronic inflammation as elevated CRP, specifically something called HSCRP, high sensitivity CRP, it's a problem. And when we have elevated HSCRP, it is a much better marker of heart attack risk than cholesterol. Cholesterol, my friends, is a worthless marker. Cholesterol was sold to us because it is easy to measure. It is easy to lower with pharmaceuticals. It's the easy target. It's the easy villain. But the problem is the story doesn't work. Cholesterol is not a good measurement. LDL is not a good measurement. There's many other good measurements that we do at Natural Heart Doctor. There's many other good measurements. You can go to any lab test and have that HSCRP checked. Now, another similar marker as it relates to inflammation and something called oxidative stress is a test that we do. It's a urine-based test. We call it the heart attack risk test. Maybe my team can load that in there. heartattackricktest.com. It's a $200 urine test that includes a review with one of our practitioners at Natural Heart Doctor. But any doctor or any lab, and it may even be where you can order it in cash, the one blood test called HSCRP, and maybe your insurance covers it. So ideally, the lower the better on the markers of inflammation. The HSCRP, the lower the better. If it's 10, it's worse than 9, is worse than 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The best marker, the best measurement, ideally, of HSCRP on standard measurements is less than 0.3 milligrams per deciliter. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a very low number there. The lower the inflammation, the better. Now, you don't want to measure the marker when you're just getting over the flu or when you just had surgery on your knee. You don't want to do it after an injury. But this is the marker that we would look at that would tell us our status. And how do we know our success in any of these areas? How do we know if we're on track for cardiac longevity? How do you know when your car is about to run out of gas? How do you know when the car needs an oil change? How do you know when your bank account is empty? How do you know when it's full? How do you know the retirement status? How do you know your insurance status? How do you know your clothing status? Well, what do? Your metric is you go into your closet, and if you don't see any clothes hanging or on the shelves and everything's in the dirty hamper, you know the status of your laundry situation. It's very important to measure this stuff. And that's why I think the more metrics we measure in the health space, the more we know about our health, as long as it's not a dangerous measurement. So, for example, as you know, I do not order coronary calcium scans because of the radiation. It doesn't change my plan. I don't order nuclear stress tests anymore because it doesn't change my plan and it's radiation. I don't recommend to people to wear technology to determine how many steps they walk today. I know if I walked a lot of steps today, and I know if I didn't. I don't have to monitor my steps. If I go out for a 20-minute walk after breakfast and a 20-minute walk after lunch and a 20-minute walk after dinner, that was good. I know when I went and did push-ups, pull-ups, squats, lunges. That's what I know. I know what I did. I don't have to measure it. Now, if you want to measure things once in a while, like how did you sleep? What is your heart rate variability? You can check those on occasion. All right. So if we have inflammation, what do we do about it? Now we go into the root cause. It is a sign that we need to fix the root cause. There's no Band-Aid approach for inflammation. There's no Band-Aid approach for your check engine light. There's no Band-Aid approach for your check oil light, for your check, your tire pressure light. So how do we get rid of the inflammation? Ad nauseum here. It's a real simple model, people. It's a real simple model given to us by our Creator and years and years and years of life on Earth. What is it? It is eat well, live well, think well. And that will lower down your markers of inflammation in every person, every time. We eat the right foods. avoid the wrong foods. We live the right lifestyle. We avoid unhealthy lifestyle habits. We avoid environmental toxins and pollutants to the best of our ability. And then we think the right thoughts, because stress increases inflammation through many different ways. Number one, stress tells our body, get ready for injury. Prehistorically, that's what it would tell us. Ramp up the immune system because I'm about to get bitten by a tiger. I'm about to potentially get injured falling off a cliff. And what happens in that scenario when we're under stress, our body is not policing chronic inflammation. It's just in the survival mode. So we need to get out of that survival mode mentality. We need faith-based healing processes. We need community. We need friends. We need family. We need good relationships. We need passion. We need purpose. What is your purpose in 2026, people? Let's just use the next year. Feel free to put it into the comment section. What is your purpose here for the next 12 months? My purpose is to be a better husband. It's to be a better father. It's to be a better friend. It's to be a better pet owner of our dog and our cats. My purpose is to help get rid of the number one killer in the world, heart disease. That is my purpose. Your purpose may be a little bit smaller than that. Maybe it's bigger than that. I don't know. But each one of us should have a purpose for the next 12 months and certainly beyond. But over the next 12 months, my purpose is to help illuminate the truth of health and wellness to millions of people. And I would love everyone's support on that. I've got a great team around me. My team at Natural Heart Doctor, yes, they get paid to do what they do, but they can work anywhere. They're brilliant people. Every single person in my company is a brilliant person, and they can go work somewhere else. But they choose to be here at Natural Heart Doctor because we have a purpose and we have a mission. I think about the fact every single day, millions of people are struggling with heart disease. Thousands of people die every single day in the United States from heart disease. And they're going to the medical doctors that are not giving them answers. They're giving them pharmaceuticals in a Band-Aid attempt based on what they're taught to deal with disease. But it really is so much more than that, people. It's really so much better. And I appreciate all you being here. So what do? We institute better food, lifestyle, toxin avoidance, and thoughts. And then we remeasure the CRP and we see how we did. We remeasure the oxidized lipids in the urine and then we see how we did. That's what it is. And if we have lowered our inflammation through the root cause, then we are on the longevity path. Then we can say with more confidence, I feel confident that I'm going to be here to do all the things that I want to do, that I was created to do for many more years to come. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, there are supplements that could be helpful here because ultimately, for example, vitamin C is good for inflammation. Things like berberine and curcumin, like we mentioned before, there are some supplements that can help with inflammation. But remember, the supplements supplement the healthy lifestyle. So if I'm thinking about supplements here, I'm thinking first and foremost, wild salmon roe and Kickstart My Heart. I'm thinking about those food-based products to give the vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, omega-3 fatty acids that the body needs to lower inflammation. I'm also thinking about things like Australian emu oil. I'm thinking that a lot of inflammation starts in the gut, so I want to take a good probiotic like Heart Helper's probiotic. Now I got my staff running. The best way to lower homocysteine, Nancy, the best way to lower homocysteine is to eat well, live well, think well. Single best supplement to lower homocysteine, Kickstart My Heart. All the vitamins, minerals, proteins, and fats you need. Product number 1A is wild salmon roe. Not synthetic B vitamins, people. Not synthetic. So, all right, what else can I tell you? So, again, I hope everyone's understanding this, that there is a better way to heart health and longevity. It's not pharmaceuticals. I'm sorry. It's just the data is very clear. It's not. Life expectancy of the American male is 76, American female is 79. If you're good with that, okay, fine, be happy. If you want to live longer and live better, that's what we do here at Natural Heart Doctor. My team is listing up all the different supplements and stuff like that. And again, if you got concerns, go ahead and grab a free discovery call. We're here to help you. I want to help you as much as possible. It's very expensive to talk to me. I charge a lot of money to talk to me. And I guess I want to apologize for that. I apologize that I cannot speak to each person individually, that I have to charge my fees for what I charge. I do apologize for that. But I've got a lot of things going on in my life, professionally and personally, all positive, thank God. So I charge a lot for my time. I'm not for everybody. I have other doctors, they charge less. We have coaches, the investment is less. We got tons of free information on the website, and then we've got the Facebook group and the Facebook page, and we got a chat bot. We got quorums, and forums like this. Ask away. I'll do my best to answer what I can. So hopefully we got something here for everyone. So again, I do appreciate you all being here. I'm going to continue with these lives every week, noon Eastern on Wednesdays. So stay tuned going forward. Wanda's taking Optilipid. Would you advise a person to take it for life? I don't recommend anything for life, but there are many benefits to Optilipid. Thousands and thousands and thousands of studies on the ingredients inside of Optilipid, made for me by Biotics Research in Rosenberg, Texas. One of the best supplement companies in the world for 50 years. Their quality is impeccable. I know the two brothers who founded it, run it, and I know the team over there, and I've been to the factory in Rosenberg, Texas. All right. Ricondo saying it has nothing to do with genetics. I'm saying that our genetics are perfect. When you take violations of eat well, live well, think well, and you lay them on top of genetics, then you get disease. The problem is not the genetics. The problem is the epigenetics, what you're laying on top of your genes. Doctors like to blame genes because then it implies there's nothing you can do about it. There's no heart attack gene. There's no stroke gene. There's no cancer gene. There are genes that increase the likelihood when you turn them on. John Together Strong, tremendous story for sure. Alkaline water, not a fan. I prefer drinking water, preferably with Shilajit tar added to it. Janet said she takes Optilipid too, got off her statin cold turkey. That is awesome. John Together Strong, Ben Bickman says under 1. Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, the lower the better on the markers of inflammation. And these are cheap tests. If you want to get the oxidative stress test from us, we send out the home urine test kit. You get to go over it with one of our practitioners, change up the plan, retest down the road. It's a $200 test. Like I said, it's up to you. If you got the $200, no reason not to get it. If you don't have the $200, don't get it. See if your insurance covers something similar. Go get a blood draw, go get the result. So, what else? Is it possible to take Optilipid at the same time as taking statins? The answer is yes. you can take Optilipid plus a statin. They don't do the same, they don't work in the same way. Can you discontinue statins cold turkey? For my patients who are interested, I have them stop statin drugs cold turkey. Yes. And even if you've had a heart attack. So we're talking about statins for primary prevention. You've never had a heart attack, stent, or bypass surgery. That's primary. Or secondary, you've had a heart attack or a stent or bypass surgery. That's called secondary prevention. And the data gets better for secondary prevention and statin drugs. The data for primary prevention stinks. The data for secondary prevention, it gets a little bit better. But none of it is root cause. If you don't fix the root cause, it's not going to work. Now, you can say, I'm going to take a statin drug and address root cause. That's up to you. To me, statin drugs interfere with the body's ability to get the job done based on how it interferes with the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme. And then, therefore, you're not making cholesterol, but you're not making CoQ10, prenylated proteins, dolichol. You're not converting into active form of vitamin K. You're not making heme for mitochondrial energy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, I don't prescribe statin drugs. I don't prescribe PCSK9. I don't prescribe ezetimibe. It's not because I don't like them. It's not because I want the pharmaceutical companies to fail. I don't prescribe them because they don't work, they have side effects, they lead to a false sense of security, and they keep you plugged into the mainstream medical system of doctor, pharmacy, back to the doctor, back to the pharmacy, to the hospital, back to the doctor, back to the pharmacy. That's it. Discerning fire, bail on an ablation. If I was going to have an ablation, I would make sure that I was the healthiest version of me prior to the ablation. I'm not anti-ablation, but it should be a last strategy, not first. And if you're going to go for it because you've got symptomatic, persistent atrial fibrillation, then we should optimize you first, because if we look, for example, this is a great example. Thank you. If you have inflammation, you have a much higher risk of ablation failure. If you have inflammation, you have a higher risk of atrial fibrillation. If you have inflammation, you have a higher risk of stroke. If you have inflammation, you have a higher risk of ablation failure. Now, let's say you go for an ablation, and let's say it's successful, but you still have inflammation. You're in trouble. You better figure it out. Emu oil, Leslie, it's an unfiltered, unprocessed oil from the Australian emu bird. We sell it because it is an oil that is very high in fat-soluble vitamins, but specifically vitamin K2 in a form known as MK4, which has the best data-driven results. You get vitamin K2 when you convert with a good, healthy microbiome from K1 into K2, you absorb and stuff like that. But emu oil is a really good, minimally processed, food-based source of these nutrients. Okay. Jimmy, can FMD be reversed? I'm not aware that fibromuscular dysplasia can necessarily be reversed, but it can be dealt with by eating the right foods, living the right lifestyle, thinking the right thoughts, doing the right tests. Annette, I don't recommend fish oil any longer because it is a highly processed product that I think we can do better eating the fish. I'm not aware of any way to eat the emu or, where anyone's doing that. So we sell the oil. I don't have any emu, ground up emu freeze-dried, capsules for you. But what emu oil would be the third product that I would recommend kind of in this lineup of Kickstart My Heart, Wild Salmon Roe, and those could be interchanged as far as what's one and what's number two. But the third thing would be emu oil, and then we've got a probiotic in there, and then maybe some specific things. If you have lipid inflammation, oxidative stress concerns, Optilipid. For blood pressure, we have vessel support and heartbeat. We've got a magnesium product. I like all of the natural minerals that are found in Shilajit tar. All right, Jana, hard plaque versus soft plaque. Can you speak about it in a few seconds? All right, a few seconds. Hard plaque is old, stable, calcified. Soft is new and unstable and can potentially erode and rupture, leading to a heart attack. You don't want hard plaque, but you definitely don't want soft plaque. Hard plaque can be years and years and years ago. Soft plaque is dangerous, and it's going on right now. How do you know? If you have inflammation, you are likely laying down soft plaque. Soft plaque is more difficult to test for, but it doesn't change my plan. What changes my plan is not the identification of hard and soft plaque. What changes my plan are all the markers that we look for to tell us our status. And one marker of inflammation is hsCRP. Another marker is oxidative stress by urine. What is your view on saturated fat? I love saturated fat. I've got no problem with saturated fat. Coconut oil, lots of saturated fat. People in the South Pacific eat coconuts all day long, use coconut products all day long, and they all smoke Marlboro thanks to the American military circa World War II. And they don't have heart disease. So if you're eating free-range grass-fed animal products, including ribeye, including the ground, including the organs, ideally naturalheartdoctor.com/wild idea buffalo, that's not going to get you. That's not going to get you. Artificial food, pesticide food, chemical food, sugar food, that's going to get you. Not a grass-fed, grass-finished bison ribeye, my friend. It's just not. Wild salmon has plenty of saturated fat. What did you ever ask yourself, why does a bison steak have saturated fat? Why does chicken have saturated fat? Eggs have saturated fat. Mother's breast milk, cow's milk, seafood. Because that's what those things need to live, and so do we. If I took a bite out of my arm, I would be eating saturated fat out of my own body. Why? Because that's what my body needs, saturated fat. Our bodies are made up of fat. Our cells, our cell membrane, the fence of the cell is loaded with fat, many of which is saturated, some of which is unsaturated, and it's also made up of cholesterol. Heartbeat powder, does it lower cholesterol? The answer is yes. I can tell you many different mechanisms. It's not specifically designed to lower cholesterol. I don't market it as a cholesterol product, but if you're asking me if it does, the answer is it does. I could explain all the mechanisms if I wanted to, but I don't think anybody else wants to hear it, so I'm not going to. It's not that important at this point. For that. I mean, again, heartbeat powder and vessel support, those are mostly nitric oxide boosters for circulation, but heartbeat is 100% organic food. So I could definitely make the case of how it helps to improve cholesterol. Remember, what we're trying to do is get rid of the root cause for why cholesterol is elevated. Cholesterol is elevated because your body is making too much, because it's trying to respond to injury, and it's not clearing it out because your liver is sick. Annette, if you're eating wild salmon shipped from Alaska, that's a really good start. I happen to think that the cleanest, purest, best source of seafood is wild salmon roe. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take my product, and you can also, from whatever company you're ordering from, they may sell salmon roe. So naturalheartdoctor.com/seafood takes you to the link to the company that we use. You can buy their roe. Is there any good sugar, Leslie? Obviously, my number one sweetener is raw honey. That impacts the flavor of a coffee. Should you do that? You can try it and see how you do it, how you like it. After that, minimally processed organic sugars would be next in line. I'm not a sugar guy in my coffee. Like, I got my cardiology coffee here right now, and it's just plain black coffee. Sometimes I add raw cream to my third or fourth cup. I typically do about 4 cups a day of cardiology coffee, all before noon. So coffee lowers inflammation, people. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just in the medical literature. Why? Because coffee contains antioxidants. Coffee contains polyphenols. Coffee contains vitamins and minerals. So there you go. All right, well, listen, I've droned on enough. I appreciate everybody here. Stay tuned every Wednesday at noon Eastern. And let me know how my team and I can be of service. Share the information. Sharing is caring. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Send this videos like this to friends and family. I do believe that you are doing really good work. Maybe that is your passion and your purpose for 2026, to share the information, share the good news of health and wellness, what we're doing over here at Natural Heart Doctor. We can help a lot of people by shouting it from the rooftops, when do we stop doing that? When do we stop pushing? When do we stop telling someone to stop injuring themselves? How often do someone you love, someone you care about, you tell them to stop smoking? We give all this different advice. So, if you discontinue statins, will it cause your ApoB levels to rise? Yes. And possibly cause a second incident? Yes, it's possible. But if you're not addressing the root cause of why the ApoBs are elevated, you're missing out. Statins lower numbers down. Statins can lower your risk of heart attack by a tiny amount. But it's not about how do we lower your risk from here to here. It's how do we lower your risk to zero. Statin drugs don't do it. We do it at Natural Heart Doctor. Sylvia, what about removing blood thinner? Again, there's a time and a place for removal. There's a time and a place for actual pharmaceutical anticoagulants. There are. And we can help you with that. So, here we go. Under my sweatshirt today, I've got my t-shirt. Pharma free, everybody. Pharma free. Happy New Year, everybody.